Welcome everyone to the Authentic as Fog podcast. My name is Sun. I am a marketer and storyteller, and in my community, Night Owl Nation, I help people practice and learn storytelling. And on this podcast, I help coach some of our members through marketing, branding, storytelling questions they have, or just general business questions. So today we have Anna. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Sun.
Hi. Yeah, so let's start by introducing yourself. What do you do, where you're from, and kind of what your business is about, and then we'll jump into your questions.
All right. I'm from Germany. I have been doing online stuff since 2017. I started with a podcast and a blog. Then it became 2 podcasts and 2 blogs, and then it became 3, eventually 4. And I am a full-time entrepreneur since 2021, but I'm really struggling. That's why I'm here. I'm struggling with 4 projects. It's just too much. I had a consultant before who told me I should focus on one, and I did that for some time. I focused on my biggest project, and I was very unhappy with that. Like, this is not working for me.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm kind of.
So let's talk about what are the 4 different projects, and I also want to hear a little bit about your background.
Okay.
So that led you to here, like.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes totally sense. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a big part of why I cannot let any of them go. So let me start with my background. I have sometimes I don't know the English titles, but I studied business.
Okay.
I worked as an auditor, and then I got chronically ill with the same disease that like one of your guests from like 2 episodes ago had, a chronic kidney disease. I was on dialysis and ultimately got a transplant, and that changed my life completely. And at first I thought my life was over and I did not have any more options. And then the whole like listening to podcasts and listening to people, especially digital nomads, made me see chances for me, because my brain was still working. It was just my body that wasn't, like, not as any other body would. So I started looking into the whole online business thing, and then I just started the podcast for fun. And my most fun thing I could come up with was the Healer Hip Hop, because I love hip hop. The Healer Hip Hop is a song by my favorite singer. So I just started that for fun. And then I got really bold.
So that's your first.
That's my
podcast,
first
Healer.
project, yeah. And that's the biggest
And what
one.
is what do you talk about in that podcast? What's the topic?
I only interview artists, mostly rappers and singers, but also like I had a videographer who was doing a movie, a hip hop movie. I have dancers. I have people in the hip hop sphere, I would
Got
say,
it.
internationally. So it's English and German. That's another issue I have. And yeah, so
What is there a specific topic you guys talk about?
it's
In the
usually
podcast?
stories. Yeah. So that it has to do with the healing aspect. So either their music is healing for other people, or usually it's artists who've been at some point in their life struggling or had like something like what happened to me. And sometimes that was they studied business first and then got into hip hop later. So I'm mostly interested in people who spread positivity and who also have like some deepness to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And then what was your second one?
Yeah, then obviously, because I was in the middle of dialysis, I started a blog around that, and also a podcast, because I was heading towards a transplant, and to get a transplant is a long journey. It took me a year. And yeah, during that, I started a blog and a podcast interviewing other people with the same disease and with before and after a transplant. But after I got the transplant, I totally quit this because I could not deal with this sickness anymore. I was just so happy that after 8 years, I was kind of free. So I was like, I couldn't continue with that for some
Also,
time.
you stopped that podcast?
Yeah, I stopped it. I needed a break. I really did.
Got
Yeah,
it.
because it was a lot. Yeah. So then I still had the healer hip hop. I did a coaching. I learned, how do you call it, like not a seminar. It took like a year. It was a whole coaching program so that I could learn coaching. I did that after the transplant.
Oh, so
So
you,
Mhm.
meaning you wanted to be a coach, so you took a
Exactly, yeah, because I
coaching
felt
program.
like I kind of wanted to
Was it a
help.
certification program?
Yes, yes, it was with the
Okay.
certificate. It took a year, actually a year and a half. And the
Hmm.
plan ultimately was to start a business around that, helping people either with kidney disease or some other chronical illnesses.
Chronic thing.
Yeah, I know like people with burnout have similar symptoms. It's just different
Hmm.
things. So I kind of felt like drawn to that. Like I could really help people, but I
Got
wanted
it.
to back that up with something. Yeah.
Got it. And then you're
And
still doing Healer Hip Hop podcast this whole
yes,
time.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Hmm. But my whole attention kind of shifted to because also of course because I planned to have an online business and maybe do courses, online courses and things. I learned so much about this whole online business sphere because it's such a huge thing and there's a lot to learn, I think, you know. So I kind of, as a side product, I had another project that I call Digital Business Angel, because it has to do with online business, you know, but it's also the business
Hmm.
angel aspect in it because I want to be able to help people in a similar situation like me who are clear in their head, who can still do great things, but maybe are physically limited, or maybe it's
Hmm.
just the time that limits you. Maybe you're a mom
Hmm.
and cannot, you know, have a traditional 9 to 5 or don't want that. So I just wanted to share my knowledge around the whole, yeah, all the
So
chances you
that's
have.
another podcast.
That's, I did not do a podcast. I started it as uh, a blog and also offered coaching on it and mastermind groups.
Got it. Okay.
And
Wait, so
then
are these, because
these
in
are
the
three.
beginning you said you have 4 podcasts. So are
Yeah.
these part of that, or you have podcasts separate from this?
The podcasts were the healer hip hop and around the kidney. I will continue with the
Which you
kidney,
stopped? Yeah.
which I stopped, but
Okay.
I also
Yeah.
already recorded new interviews, haven't
Okay.
published them yet. And then there's the fourth project where I want to have a podcast,
Oh, so
which,
number 3 is the Digital Business Angel.
yes, number three was
Okay.
Digital Business Angel, which was kind of a side product, like something that
Got it.
I automatically learned and wanted to share.
Got it.
And the fourth was something I started after I read a book around
Hmm.
transformation processes, around the whole what happens to a caterpillar that becomes turns into a butterfly, because the
Hmm.
biological process tells you so much about what happens to us. So
Hmm.
I wanted to create an online course around that, and I did. And I needed a project for it, so I called it Soul Flower. Because soul flower is another word my favorite singer uses, so that came with that. So that's my fourth
Hmm.
project, where now I've recorded interviews with people that I think have like blossomed their soul flower, like they found their thing and they're really shining and showing their
Got it.
soul. Yeah.
Got it. So your main struggle is right now time,
Yes.
like like
And
juggling all
focus.
these things.
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay. So I wanna kind of ask you, like, in terms of let's talk about audience
Hmm.
and revenue wise. If you were to take these 4 things and put it into a pie chart
Hmm. Hmm.
and think about like how much impact you're making, both in
Hmm.
terms of like the number of audience to reach as well as the revenue that's bringing in,
Hmm.
how would you divide them up? Like what percentage would be healer hip hop versus
Hmm.
your chronic disease kind
Hmm.
of um,
Hmm.
coaching versus business angel, digital business angel,
Yeah.
and soul flower?
So because I stopped the Need a New Kidney project, there's no revenue ever, and I'm writing a book, but no revenue yet. So
Okay.
the biggest would be Digital Business Angel, because I have mastermind groups, I have books, little small courses, and
Okay.
coaching. The Soulflower was just one course, and I stopped offering it because I had life elements in it, but I kind of wanted to change it up, so I stopped offering it. And then with Healer Hip Hop, revenue wise, it was good, but also the costs were a lot higher because I had to pay for artists, which I don't have to do with Digital Business Angel.
Wait, so the Healer Hip Hop, you're getting revenues from what? Like sponsorships,
I
ads?
know I had an online hip hop festival, and I have
Okay.
an online course. Yeah.
So let's again divide it into pie charts. Like what percentage each would you say, roughly?
So yeah, let me
Like is that one of them like significantly bigger than the other?
yeah, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
afraid Digital Business Angel is, which is the project that's
Would you
like,
say like 50%?
yeah, hmm yeah, yeah.
So
And
maybe,
then
and then the other ones are like kind of
the Healer Hip Hop a
out of
third,
there.
and then the other is the rest, whatever that is now. Like,
Okay, so number one is Digital Business Angel.
yes,
Number two is Healer Hip Hop, and then
yeah,
so time wise, how much time do you spend uh, on each
way
of
too
these?
much time, way too much time on the Healer Hip Hop, like a lot,
Okay.
50%.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
uh, Not so much time on, like, I just have to show up for the masterminds
Hmm.
for Digital Business Angel. Well, maybe if you count in all the research I'm doing, then it's a lot more for Digital Business Angel, because I'm trying a lot of things, practicing things, changing things. So that might, yeah, make it
What
more.
about like the content wise? Are you also creating content and building audience for these, or
Yeah, I used to, but yeah, that's a struggle because I had like a knot in my head. So my logic was, let me start with the creation of products like courses first before I continue with the creation of content, because I want
Mhm.
to be able to sell things to people. And that kind of, then I didn't like the platform that I was doing it on. Now I've changed the platform, so that whole thing took so much time. Like I kind of stopped doing good, like from the heart
Mhm.
content. I want to get it back into that with, as I said, with podcasts. That's kind of why I'm here. I want to find a way to, because I've realized from what you said about your business that you've kind of very simplified it, and I have not. I need things simple, and they're not simple. So
Okay.
yeah.
In order to make things simple, the first thing that needs to happen. Well, I want to ask you first. Which one of these are you doing podcast? So Healer Hip Hop and what
Yes,
else?
Soulflower and Need a New Kidney.
Also, those all of those you're doing podcast like
Yes,
actively. Oh, I
yes.
thought you were only doing blog for the
No,
kidney one.
I'm
And
restarting it. I just recorded some, and I
okay,
will publish them soon.
okay, okay. So and then it also seems like they're all different audience, right?
100%. Yes.
Okay. What does your numbers look like in terms of? Do you also have social media channels for these, or
Yes, most it's basically just Instagram
mm,
and, well,
separate ones for each
YouTube.
one?
Yes, separate ones, and YouTube
Mm.
and podcasts. Yeah. So
Yeah. So
Healer
how does that audience break down? Can you give me some numbers?
Healer Hip Hop is 8,000 something, 600. Need a New Kidney is 500. That's so Instagram. Digital Business Angel 170, and Soulflower 100, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. So
Podcast, I only have numbers for the Healer Hip Hop, which is 2,000 per episode.
episode.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay, so if I were you, I would do everything under a personal brand.
I
So
was that's kind of why I'm drawn to you, because you kind of managed to do that. And yeah, that's kind of what I want to do, but I don't get how, because it seems so different to me, like all of them. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't matter because those might seem different,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
are you.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is I want you to, instead of investing,
Mm.
don't invest any time or money into building the Hiller hip hop brand
Mm-hmm.
or the kidney brand or the digital business angel or the soulflower brand
Mm-hmm.
on its own. I want you to put all of that into, instead of like people knowing about those different brands. I want everyone to know Anna.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yeah, I was
understand what I
kind of
mean?
hiding. Like that was one big struggle for me. That's kind of why I wanted to start the podcast, so that nobody would see me. Everybody, the focus was on the other person. So I was shying away from that, but I think I'm ready. Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, so what I always say is don't niche down in your brand, in your content, but niche down in your product.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you look at
Mm-hmm.
my content is all over the place. Like sometimes I'm talking to designers, sometimes I'm talking to coaches, sometimes I'm just talking, giving general life advice, sometimes I'm talking to about business, sometimes about copywriting, story. It's all over the map, right?
You know what, son? I haven't realized that. Like I'm following you on Instagram and the podcast, but I haven't realized that because I don't always see you. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Is that people are not necessarily thinking about the topic that you're talking about. So, like, have you heard of Gary Vee?
Yes, I have. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Gary Vee is a great example of that, right? Because sometimes he talks about,
Yeah.
you know,
I
marketing,
couldn't
social
I
media.
couldn't tell you what he's talking about. I just know he's
Yeah,
talking a lot, giving
yeah,
advice.
exactly. So if you look at a lot of these brands, you'll see that they talk about various topics.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the only common thread is that it's the topics that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the only common thread. There's no real niche or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want you to do is, so what I noticed is that when you try to grow a brand, let's say Hiller Hip Hop,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much harder to grow a Hiller Hip Hop brand than your own brand with your own
Mm-hmm.
face and your own name,
Mm-hmm.
because people are much more drawn to the person.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're trying to grow like your own brand, most people are just going to remember you
Mm-hmm.
more than Hiller Hip Hop.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I would do that. Like it's unbelievably excruciatingly hard to build one podcast, one YouTube channel, one Instagram. That if you're trying to do four at the same time, what's gonna happen? It's like you're spinning dishes, right? Like every time like you do
Yeah,
this, and then
absolutely. Yeah.
and a lot of these platforms they need momentum.
Yeah.
So
And
what's happening is
yeah.
none of those platforms, none of
Mm-hmm.
those each channels are actually gaining enough momentum for it to take off,
Yeah.
because you put a little bit of time into this, and
Mm-hmm.
then you put time into this thing, and this
Mm-hmm.
momentum dies, and now and then the next thing that momentum dies, and that's going to keep happening. So I
Mm-hmm.
need you to put all of your momentum, your kind of metaphorical eggs into one basket,
Yeah.
which is your personal brand, in terms of the promoting, audience building,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then um and then we can talk about actual revenue model products and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were, I'm not telling you to do anything, but
Mm-hmm.
if I was in your shoes,
Mm-hmm.
what I would probably do is I would maybe just still call it Healer Hip Hop,
Mm-hmm.
but with Anna, or
Mhm.
like I would bring my name into that,
Mhm.
put my face on there,
Mhm.
and then consolidate all of your social media channels into one channel. So have one Instagram account with your
Mhm.
personal name in it.
Mhm.
Have one YouTube channel with your personal name in it, or Heal or Hip Hop with, and like
Mhm.
kind of how
Mhm.
I do it. Like, so my
Mhm.
YouTube channel is called Authentic as Fuck
Mhm.
with Sunny,
Mhm.
and my podcast is called Authentic as Fuck with
Mhm.
Sunny.
Mhm.
My Instagram, my TikTok, all of my account is basically me. It's
Mhm.
just my personal account, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But anyone who follows me, I'm
Mhm.
talking about, go watch my podcast, my new podcast episode.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I'm just, or go join my program, Night Owl Nation, right?
Mhm.
So I'm branching everything from my personal brand.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I mean?
I totally understand, but I have questions. Like, for
Yes.
example, it would obviously I would choose the one with the biggest audience, but
hmm
they will not like it, I think. What do I do about it? Like, I'm scared.
Well, okay. First, there's a few different aspects to that. Number one, why do you think they won't like it?
Because I've only talked about hip hop. Maybe now and then, sometimes I shared. I also have a transplant, but not more than that. So I'm kind of scared if I, oops, pop up. Here's something about kidney. Or chronic
hmm
disease. Here's something about business,
hmm
or things like coaching and. I think it's. I cannot imagine that people will like it.
Well, you're not really talking about coaching. You're not talking about those things. What you're
Mhm.
talking about is, in your content, you're talking about what you're interested in.
Mhm.
We'll get into coaching stuff, the products later. Right
Uh-huh.
now, I'm just talking about audience building,
Okay.
because
Okay. Mhm. Mhm.
what you said before about creating a product and then building a brand, that's actually not the right way to go. What you should be doing is,
Mhm.
that's the old business model where
Uh-huh.
a
Okay.
company builds a product
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, how do I sell this product now? Right.
Yeah.
So they go out and run ads, they go find these marketing channels. Maybe they reach out to influencers and help them sell, like they'll help them sell it or something like that.
Mhm.
Right. That's the old model. The problem with that model, what's happening is, I don't know if you heard of like the whole thing with the FTX, which was like a crypto
Yeah.
exchange,
Yeah. Mhm.
and all these celebrities endorsed that, right?
Mhm.
And what happened? Like, it ruined those celebrities' names.
Yeah.
So now the celebrities are starting to realize that I don't want to keep endorsing these brands that I have no control over.
Mhm.
So the celebrities, like Dwayne Johnson starts his own tequila company, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
Kylie
Mhm.
Jenner starts her own cosmetics company, right?
Mhm.
Mr. Beast starts Beast Burgers and Feastables. Like
Mhm.
the influencers themselves are creating their own brand,
Mhm.
right? And then selling to their own fan base,
Mhm.
because and that's the new model. The new model is, the the person who has the influence have already built the audience, have
Mhm.
already built a relationship with their audience, and have already earned the trust of their audience.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I mean?
Mhm.
And whatever that they're selling, the audience is buying it because they trust you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when you start thinking of it like, oh, but if, like, that's kind of how I was when I post carousels. People love my carousels. My carousels gets tons
I
of
love that.
engagement, tons of
Yeah.
reach.
Mhm.
My videos don't get as much reach.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
whenever I post videos, it'll get like only 10% of the reach, maybe 20% of the reach,
Mhm.
and not as many engagement and things. People didn't really watch them, right?
Mhm.
But here's what that really means. Reality. It means people only care about my carousel. They don't care about me.
Mhm. True.
Do you understand what I mean? That
Mhm.
means at the end of the day, when I sell a product, they're not actually going to buy my product, because they don't
Mhm.
actually care about me. They just
Mhm.
care about their carousel. It's kind of like, I can
Ah.
create a meme account
Yeah.
where I collect all the best content, most viral content out there, and collect it, and I can get 1 million followers.
Yeah.
But then let's say
Right.
I sell a coaching program now. Do you think anybody's going to buy from me just because I have 1 million followers? No, because the
Yeah.
only reason why they're following from me is because they like the memes.
Yeah.
They
You're
don't
right.
like me.
Yeah.
Do you
Mhm.
understand me? And that's the difference between just numbers in terms of account. And it's It's also the reason why I had a friend who had like 100,000 followers,
Mm-hmm.
and he sold an ebook,
Mm-hmm.
and only like 30 people bought it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
because
can
those
imagine.
100.
Yeah, I made the same experience with Healer Hip Hop. I thought obviously I would have a lot of viewers on for my
Mhm,
festival, obviously, right? But no, it wasn't.
mhm.
It wasn't. It was kind of similar numbers, and I was
Yeah,
shocked. Yeah, it really does mean anything. You see, like I have with the 170 followers, I make more money than with the 8,600. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So it's not just about the size,
Hmm.
but it's also the depth, right?
Yeah.
So here's what I would say:
Hmm.
if you lose followers because you start showing yourself
Hmm.
and you start talking about more about yourself and stuff you care about,
Hmm.
then I'm gonna be honest with you. They were never your followers to begin with.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people make mistakes. When I first came on Instagram, what happened was, um, even though my videos didn't do well, I kept posting them, posting them, posting them, right?
Hmm.
And then a lot of people at that time, a lot of people were making carousels in the design industry, and they were talking about, okay, this is how you do design, and this, or some of them were talking about Instagram growth. This is like, oh, here's how you use the hashtag, here's what you do, like how you do engagement, here's like the best time to post, and they were kind of doing all of those kind of content, right?
Hmm.
And then I came in, I started talking about marketing, but I also started talking about authenticity a lot,
Hmm.
and I started talking about all these other like finding your purpose and all of these other topics, right?
Hmm.
And what ended up happening is all those carousel people that grew their account started reaching out to me and said, "Son, like, help me." These guys have way more followers than me, by the way, right?
Hmm.
But they would reach out to me and they'll say, "Son, help me because I really want to talk about other stuff like you too, and I want to be more authentic in my content. I want to show more of myself." But I'm
Hmm.
scared to do that because my audience is the same question you're asking me right now
Yeah,
was
it's
what they were asking me.
yeah. It really, like in my head, it still looks scary. But you're right. Yeah, but I've been there before. I've been scared before,
Don't
and
be a prisoner. Yeah,
yeah,
the last
yeah.
thing you want to be is a prisoner to your own audience.
You're right. Thank you. Yeah,
Right?
that doesn't make any sense. You're right. Yeah, that's kind of why I started new projects because I want to talk about other things too. Yeah, that's kind of the logic behind it, I guess. Yeah. Hmm.
But if you look at so the next thing I want to say is this. Um, yes, start talking about all of that,
Hmm.
but I want you to have one product
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
start with.
Yeah.
I want you to get one product up and running
Hmm.
and profitable,
Hmm.
and it's almost like a well-oiled machine. Like
Hmm.
you can
Hmm.
just step away and it'll keep generating money.
Yeah,
It'll keep generating revenue,
I
and
want
I
that. Yeah,
want
I want that. I want that too.
I need you to get one product to that level
Hmm.
first
Hmm.
before you bring in the second product.
Hmm. Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying okay, kill all of these projects.
Hmm.
All what I'm asking you to do is pick one of those products that you're
Hmm.
gonna kind of double down for the next year or something,
Hmm.
and the rest of them put it on the shelf.
Hmm.
And then once this is going and this is profitable and this is like generating revenue by itself,
Hmm.
then bring this next project and then like start that one. And then once that gets going, then the
Hmm.
next project, so on and so on.
Can I tell you what I planned? Because
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
please,
kind
yeah.
of product I planned for, it's because I have these ready-made courses, two or three of them, I
Hmm.
would say. I want to put them on the platform. You can buy them, but I want to make that very not attractive for you. I want for you to buy something like similar what you have to have a like a membership. You can quit it whenever you want, but I want to make it really attractive for you. I want in the membership to have sessions where we can have joint creative sessions where we can make some art, or we have like mastermind groups, co-working. I want a space where they can meet me, but they don't have to only be with me, also be with other people. And included in that membership, they can watch those 2 courses. So I would like to give the whole membership away, like for a year, say for the same price than one of the
What
courses.
is the so this membership?
Mhm.
What are you actually selling? What's the
It would
transformation you're selling?
it would
What's the
be
solution you're selling?
it would be a cocoon, kind of like a place where we can, like, while we are just like hiding away from the outside, we can, it's like uh because the courses, they have to do with transformation, uh both of them.
So
One
these
is
are people that are kind of taking a step back in their life or something like that, like
yeah, who are like,
temporarily.
or like, there are 2 types of people. The one people, they really struggle, they have a problem, their life is changing for whatever reason, maybe they're sick, they're going through a breakup, they lost their job, whatever. They need to change, and they might not like it, but there is a need to change, so they don't know where to go. They need the whole transformation cocoon thing. And then there's another type of people. Maybe their life is all settled. They have a relationship. They have a good job, but they're bored. Their life is there. It doesn't even make any sense. Their life is empty. They feel totally empty, and they feel like something needs to change, but they don't know where to start. And they too need a cocoon where they can learn about, this is a whole process, like similar to the caterpillar. All these thoughts, they make sense, and it's totally normal not to know where I will
Mhm.
be. You know,
Those two people are actually the same people. The
my
only
in my
difference
view,
was
yeah, yeah,
one of them had an external force that forced them to change,
yes,
and
yes,
the other one
yes,
is just waiting for that external force to come in. Like,
yeah,
because that's
yeah,
kind of what happened. What COVID did to a lot of people. Like, a lot
yeah,
of people were in this place where their life is good, they have a good job,
safe,
they're not
yeah,
worried about money, but
yeah,
something
yeah,
is missing. There's
yeah,
got to be more to life than this, right? And then COVID happens and like
yeah,
throws them all off, and
yes,
it was almost like a blessing in disguise because
yeah, yeah,
they needed that wake up call
yeah,
almost, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what Tony Robbins says, right? Like, the people that are at the rock bottom,
hmm,
it's actually a little bit better for them because they know they need change.
yeah,
It's the people that are like in the middle
yeah,
that are really not really that happy, but they're not unhappy either. They're not at the rock bottom moment either.
yeah.
And those are the hardest people because they don't even realize that they need change.
Exactly. Yeah. I like when I got my diagnosis, I was so low.
Hmm.
But that's kind of freeing because you can start a whole new thing. And sometimes when I look at people and I see them in the state of like they don't know what they're doing, but life is okay. And when something very hard hits them, I'm like, kind of, finally
Hmm.
you found a way out
Hmm.
because you didn't allow that to yourself. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So I think those people are the same people actually,
Yeah. To me
and
too. You're right.
yeah,
Mm,
and they're just their circumstances might be slightly different, but
mm,
that second person will eventually get to the point where something throws them off, and they're
mm,
gonna be like, "Oh my
mm.
god, I need change." Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
maybe and I like that way you kind of explain it. It's like this cocoon where that they're waiting to turn into a butterfly, right? Like,
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
they you need that place where you can help them
Yeah.
transform into a
Yeah.
butterfly, kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about this. So I actually think that it's one person. So that's the transformation that they need.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure if membership is the right way to have that
Mhm.
transformation,
Okay.
to be honest.
Mhm.
Um because um so what I'm selling, I think, is a little bit different than what you're selling, in the
Mhm.
sense that
Mhm.
you're actually literally selling a transformation, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
I'm not selling a transformation. What I'm selling is more like a gym,
Mhm.
like gym membership, right?
Mhm.
Where
Yeah. Yeah.
this is something that you just constantly, like, once you've kind of had a wake up call or something like that. Okay, I
Mhm.
need to start building one. Like,
Mhm.
somebody who's already gone through your program, maybe that now they need to come, and if whatever business they want to build, they
You're
need to
right.
practice their storytelling or
You're
something
right.
like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
So
it's a
for the
phase.
transformation product, I
Mhm.
feel like it has to be kind of like a program where
Mhm.
there's a clear beginning and clear ending.
Okay,
And then,
let me
you
stop
know
you
what I
right
mean?
there. I have that.
Yeah.
I have that. It was
Yeah.
at the time around. It was 12 weeks, I think, if I remember correctly, because it's 12 stages roughly. The problem is some people like because a transformation is tough and some people need a lot of time and most people got stuck right in the middle when it's really ugly because in the
Hmm.
cocoon your old life dissolves and yes I like it because now I can put these things together and become a butterfly but many people who are not used to that they don't like that and like that was the feedback I got they needed a lot more time so I don't know what time do they need I would
Yeah,
say
then maybe you
maybe
need to make it longer.
12 months.
So
Yeah. But
that's
that,
kind of what you need to figure
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I meant by I
Hmm.
want you to invest all your time and energy
Yeah. Okay.
into that first product first.
Yeah.
Because right now, I believe that you don't really have that one product that you've
No.
completely nailed yet.
No. Hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and trust me, I'm still working, like, I'm on my second product now,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I'm still working on Night Owl Nation.
Hmm.
And like Night Owl Nation is not perfect yet. I'm still working on it. But here's
Yeah.
the thing
Hmm.
before Night Owl Nation,
Hmm.
I had an agency called Night Owl.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and my agency is where we do work for clients, right?
Hmm.
So, even though I started putting out content for 2 years, before,
Hmm.
like 3 years ago, I started putting out content and started building my audience. But I didn't even launch Night Owl Nation as a product until a year ago
Hmm.
because what I wanted to do was I needed my agency to be
Hmm.
completely like at a place where, okay, now I have my first product ready. Boom. I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about money because it's
Yeah.
generating money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can invest my time into my second product, right?
Yeah.
So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to invest your time into your
Hmm.
first product,
Hmm.
which is gonna get you to that place where
Hmm.
you have a good cash flow. You don't have to spend too much time on this thing.
Yeah.
Now you
Yeah.
can focus your 80% of your energy on the second product, and maybe the second product is a membership for you,
Yeah.
or maybe that second product is something else, right?
Yeah. For people who need more time, maybe. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. But
Hmm.
for now, I feel like you still need to get that first product off the ground and uh, kind of
Okay.
self-sustaining first.
Let me tell you the maybe I have like the problem that I have if for example if I launch a very long program say 12 months which is very long then I can only launch it once a year right or because I want to have live elements in it I want people to be able to meet me let
Hmm.
us create together talk whatever so that's what I was struggling with that's why I wanted to
From
get
what
away.
I've seen,
Hmm.
I work with a lot of people that
Hmm.
in this kind of life coaching space,
Hmm.
and 12 weeks is like an ideal timeline for
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
something like this.
Hmm.
And then so you might have to design it a little bit differently. For
Hmm.
example, instead of trying to give them like a complete transformation,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
of like, okay, now you're off to a good start and your new life is here.
Yeah.
What you might have to do is that the 12-week period might have to be almost like a wake up call,
Hmm.
and for them to kind of reframe and see things differently, and
Yeah.
you just come to a complete acceptance. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm ready to throw away my old life or something like that.
Yeah.
And then maybe you enroll them into a membership. Okay, now that
Okay.
you're out of the cocoon, let's try to figure out how to build your new life.
Mhm.
And then
That
maybe
makes
that's where you can have a longer program or
yeah,
something like that.
that makes a lot of sense. Because what I want them, that's why I'm shy. I was shying away from a 12 months thing because I want you to get the process first. Because we have thousands of these processes in our life. We have very small
Hmm.
transformations.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just like I want to get more muscles. What do I do? It's
Hmm.
I'm thinking about it. I'm creating it. I
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
muscle.
yeah.
So I want them to understand the process, have the tools, realize which phase am I in. Because that's the thing too. We are not all starting at the caterpillar stage, maybe. And that's for me.
Yeah,
When I
yeah,
read the book, I realized, wow, I'm at that stage. Like I was, the cocoon phase is kind of behind me. I have to start recreating my life. So that
mm-hmm.
helped me. That alone helped me. So I want them to understand the process, have the tools, and then go and use those things. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
makes
And
sense.
I think that you can even do it in, because there are those retreats, right? Like for example, Tony Robbins would do like a 5-day boot camp
Mm-hmm.
where he just do like a very intense kind of transformation,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go out and they still have to sustain it somehow.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't
yeah,
mean the work is over,
absolutely. Yeah,
right? So
absolutely. Yeah.
the product can be designed the way you want to design it,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and the transformation, and the level of transformation can be
Mm-hmm.
however you think is appropriate for that
Mm-hmm.
stage.
Mm-hmm.
But then for now, that's all you're providing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once this is good,
Mm-hmm.
then you can add on a second product. Maybe they graduate from here and go to here, right?
I have
And
no
then you
problem
can now go back
adding.
to your,
Sounds good. Sounds great. Yeah.
yeah. But don't
Um,
worry about the second phase yet
no, 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 no.
until you get this completely down. Yeah.
No, but I'm happy because I already have this program. I just need to like reshape it, reorganize it a bit. I have a question for you as a native speaker. How
Hmm.
does Pimp Your Butterfly sound to you? Is
What?
this
Say that again.
like, okay, I had a German title because I did the course in German,
Hmm.
but I also had the idea to call it Pimp Your Butterfly because there is this hip hop element to it because
Yeah.
there is
I
this
love
element. But those who
it.
don't, those who don't know it, they can
Hmm.
also like, yeah, yeah. Let me pimp my ride. Like, let me pimp my
Hmm.
butterfly. How does it sound to you?
No, that, yeah, it's really catchy, and it's
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
gonna attract your people, right?
Yeah, I
Because
kind of want to make it easier and fun. I don't want to be
yeah,
like, oh, let's go down to, yeah, I also have a, yeah.
what's gonna happen is, this industry is mostly people that are like very spiritual, and
Hmm. Hmm.
all of those type of people, right?
Yeah.
That then and then there's other people out there who are really into hip hop, and like
Hmm.
that are
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
kind of a different subculture, that are
Yeah.
not really like aware of like this life coaching world and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can serve that audience, right?
Yeah.
And I also really like the word cocoon when you said cocoon,
Hmm. Hmm.
because it does really feel like you're bringing them into this cocoon where like you're cooking and you're doing all of this
Yeah.
pre-work
Yeah.
before you go out into the world, and
Yeah.
so I really like that word too.
Yeah. If you don't know that you're in the cocoon phase, you might not like it, but actually, it's a very, very, very creative and beautiful phase. But if you look in
Yeah,
the cocoon, it's ugly. It's a dead
yeah.
caterpillar. you know.
But
But
without that, you
yeah,
can't have the butterfly. So I mean, that's why it's
exactly.
kind of,
Yeah.
and it almost feels like a safe, like, to me, the
Yeah.
feeling that I get, it's like a safe place.
That's
It's
what I
not
want.
like you're just throwing me into the wild and figure it out. Like it's more like
That's
I'm taking
the
almost like
feeling.
taking a step back,
Yeah. Yeah.
pause, and then work it all out before I
Yes.
go out.
Yes.
I'm ready to go out and do it. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to feel like because you're very vulnerable at that stage. Very vulnerable because you don't know. I remember that because I've been there for 4 to 5 years in that phase. I was like, what is happening? Like my old life is not anymore and I don't know what is left of me. It's very,
Mhm.
very vulnerable phase. And it's difficult if you don't have people who are going through the same thing, it's very difficult to even tell them how you're feeling because they
Yeah.
will not understand. Yeah.
So I really like that. So I would actually message it exactly like that. So a
Mm-hmm.
couple of things that I want to leave you with,
Mm-hmm.
like, is
Mm-hmm.
number one. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
before we move on to any other questions you have,
Mm-hmm.
number one, I like that the word cocoon,
Mm-hmm.
and I love how you explain it. Where here's your old life,
Mm-hmm.
and here's your new, like, and what happens is you might be in a way that where your old life has been taken away from you, right? Maybe you're going through a divorce, maybe you lost your job,
Yeah.
maybe some kind of you were diagnosed with some new
Yeah.
disease that you didn't know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, like this, the rug has been pulled under you, and your old life has suddenly disappeared, and now you need to jump into your new life, right? Or you're so comfortable in your old life
Mm-hmm.
that you don't even know that, but you feel like something is missing and you do need to transfer it in your life, but you're not, you're scared to just throw that away yet, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
actually it's easier if somebody has taken it away from you, but actually like for you to voluntarily throw it away is kind of harder actually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And your job is to bring you into this cocoon
Mm-hmm.
so that you can for the next 12
Yeah.
weeks
Yeah.
so you can flourish into a butterfly and into your new life, right?
Yeah.
Explain it like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then don't worry about every other aspects to it. I want you
Mm-hmm.
to hyper specifically focus on
Mm-hmm.
just solving that problem only,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm sure like once they leave the cocoon,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be other problems, right? And then there's going
Mm-hmm.
to be other problems before this too, like so. But I
Course.
want you to be really hyper specific on what is the actual
Yeah.
specific solution you're providing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you can help other people in other areas, don't worry about that for now
Yeah. Okay.
until you until this product is you're able to like, and when I say fully focus on that, what I mean is you have the program.
Mm-hmm.
It works. It works like day in and day out. Everybody that you comes into a program,
Mm-hmm.
they it transforms. You
Mm-hmm.
have good number of testimonials, reviews from them. You
Mm-hmm.
have a great tight marketing message, so that
Mm-hmm.
when you say when you go in front of a room and say, hey, this is what it is, everybody gets it and everybody's like, oh, sign me up. Like, so all of that is like all smooth and it's
Mm-hmm.
working really well. Until
Mm-hmm.
then,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to think about any other products.
Yeah. That's
Do you
fair.
understand what I mean?
Yeah. That's okay.
And it's gonna be harder than you think, because I am like that too. Because right now, Night Owl Nation, I'm hyper. I actually made this mistake in the beginning of Night Owl Nation.
Mm-hmm.
I should have hyper specifically focused on only storytelling
Mm-hmm.
and how can we practice storytelling. But what I started doing is like, oh, I'm going to teach you how to start a podcast. I'm going to teach you how to make carousels and design. And because I know all these other areas too. Like, oh, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
teach you how to create a sales page and all of that, because
Mm-hmm.
those are all areas of my expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so hard for me to refrain myself from holding myself back
Mm-hmm.
and focusing on this, because what ended up happening when I started like introducing all of these things,
Mm-hmm.
it just confused everybody and it diluted, and I wasn't being great at this. I was just
Mm-hmm.
being good at all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
What I needed to be is just great at this one thing,
Mm-hmm.
make a name for myself for this one thing first
Mm-hmm.
before I introduce those other things. Otherwise, you're just going to be good at all these multiple things like everybody else is. Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me just say, I joined in May, and I really love how authentic as fuck you are, because I love that you share these things, because you could like not tell us, but I love that you said something about you need things to be perfect and you don't listen to other people, and I'm like that too. And sometimes you feel like maybe I'm wrong when everybody tells me I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong, but I love that even you, even now, have these things where you're like, I have this vision how I want it to be, and until it's like that, I'm not going to.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm not
because you know
satisfied.
what
Yeah.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I've experienced that so many times where I'm like, okay, I my gut tells me, my intuition tells me this is how it needs to be done, and then I'm going, but then all of a sudden, some expert comes to me and says, "Hassan, you're doing it wrong," blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, "Ah, yeah, maybe I should." But then it turns out to be wrong. Like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, he was right about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to build this kind of business, but that's not what I want. I want to
Mm-hmm.
build this kind of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody else will come and so that's happened to me so many times
Mm-hmm.
that so many times I've been burned and I
Mm-hmm.
realized I wish I had just trusted my instinct from the beginning and not listened to these people. And
Yeah.
when that repeatedly happens over and over and over again,
Yeah.
finally I'm just like, okay, I
Yeah.
gotta block out the noise
Yeah.
and just yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and also, one, like, in terms of the authentic as fuck part,
Hmm.
like, one thing that I try to show, like, our members by, just by example, is that, you know I'm not shy about the fact that, yeah, Night Owl Nation isn't perfect. There
Hmm.
are certain parts of Night Owl Nation that we're still trying to figure out,
Hmm.
and I'm very open about, the fact that, hey, we're creating this together.
Hmm.
So I think it's really helpful and
Hmm.
I realize with my own agency too, it's really helpful when you get the buy-in
Hmm.
from your customers, your members and things like that, and make it feel like they're just as much part of building this
Hmm.
as I
Yeah.
am. Right?
Yeah.
We're building this together.
Yeah.
That kind of feel.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then, if you make a mistake, or if something kind of doesn't go perfectly
Yeah.
as planned, they'll be more forgiving, and they'll actually come and suggest, like, oh, maybe we can try this, or, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Be a
So,
beginner. Yeah. That's one of
yeah,
the rules. Hmm.
and at the end of the program, they'll be much more likely to give you a good testimonial if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And also, I have a feeling like you are evolving, so obviously the product evolves. So,
Hmm.
so I'm not like
Yeah,
stuck.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's another thing. Keep an open mind
Mm-hmm.
that
Hmm.
once you start working on this product,
Hmm.
a year from now, that product might look totally different than what you imagined,
Okay.
and that's
Hmm.
okay,
Okay.
because
Hmm.
you're gonna learn things along the way. And, like, that's what happened. Like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a membership,
Hmm.
and then quickly I realized that actually we need to break it into quarters,
Hmm.
because a lot of people were saying, like, oh, I need to go on vacation, so I don't know if I should do this, or
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
we needed to, like, give them the calendar up front so they
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
plan their
Yeah.
life around it and things like so. You'll learn stuff along the way, and you'll make small little incremental tweaks,
Yeah.
and at the end of it, it might look different than what you originally intended, and that's fine.
Yeah. I'm totally like that. Yeah. I published it before and I cannot republish it because I want to change it. Yeah. Absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You can keep
Yeah.
changing it,
Yeah.
and I'm sure, like, every iteration that you do,
Hmm.
you can change it a slightly, change it a little
Hmm.
more. It's think of
Yeah.
it as upgrade.
Yeah.
You're upgrading it every
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions that
Yeah. The
you want to?
questions are, what do I do? Because I have 4 websites for the Insta. Like, okay, the Instagram, I can do the one with the most followers. What do I do with the podcasts? They have different themes, different topics.
Yeah, I would merge them all into one
Mhm.
if I were you.
Anna, like
Just
Anna's
because right now
podcast. Hmm.
your time and attention is spread throughout
Hmm.
these things,
Yeah, and it's a lot. Yeah.
and I want you to really. So I want you to rebrand
Hmm.
everything under your name,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Hiller Hip Hop with
Yeah.
Anna.
Hmm.
Your Instagram,
Hmm.
whatever your biggest account is,
Hmm.
change it to you with your face
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your first and last name, full name,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Hmm.
that every time you engage, every time you leave a comment, every time you DM or anything like that,
Hmm.
they need to see you and see your name over
Hmm.
and over and over,
Yeah.
and you need to get your name out there.
Okay, hold on. I still have, maybe it's vanity or something, but I have
Hmm.
all the, I have Twitter, the Healer Hip Hop. Like, I have the tag, or what do you call it? Like, I have that. The,
Hmm.
what's it called? The link. I have it on Twitter. I have it on Instagram. I have it on Facebook. I have it on the podcast. I have a website, and I have that with all the 4 projects. So if I
Yeah, leave it.
I can leave
Leave it
that, but I
and
call it Anna
create a
Swartz.
new one then. Yeah.
Anyone. Yeah.
Create a new one, and from your existing accounts,
Uh-huh.
tell them all to follow your
Mm-hmm.
personal account,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and then grow your personal account. I guarantee you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when I work with clients, what happens is, if I try to grow a brand account and then
Mm-hmm.
the personal account grows 10 times faster than this
Yeah.
account.
Yeah. So, is the idea that maybe in a year or so I can say, you know what, I can leave it, or like stop posting on them, or what would you want to like? What would you
I,
do?
I think you can start posting on them now,
Posting on them.
and
Okay.
then try
Yeah.
to bring them. Like, why don't you do it now like this? Why don't you every post that
Yeah.
you do it as like a partner collab, so that both of your
Yeah.
names are on there,
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
then at some point,
Yeah,
it,
that's true.
like
Yeah, and I
in
can post on each of them. I can post, follow me on that. I will be active there.
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay,
you
got
have to
it.
constantly do that,
Got
and
it.
constantly
Okay.
bring people into your new brand,
Yeah, and
and
for
it's gonna
those.
take time. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't happen overnight, so don't try to. It's kind of like when companies go through rebranding. When Citigroup and
Mm-hmm.
Travelers Insurance went to rebranding, it took
Mm-hmm.
them years
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
before people recognize, okay, this is one company and it's Citi,
Yeah.
right? Or so it takes a year for rebranding to happen. So take your time, but
Okay.
eventually,
Mm-hmm.
I did a post about this. Like, if you look at like Tesla versus Elon Musk, there's no
Mm-hmm.
way Tesla is ever gonna get as many attraction as Elon Musk. If you look at like Vayner Media versus Gary Vee, or if you
Yeah,
look at like Impact Theory versus
you're
Tom
right.
Bilyeu,
You're
and if
right.
you look at like
Mm-hmm.
Honest Company versus Jessica
Mm-hmm.
Alba,
Yeah,
there's no way that these
yeah,
brands
you're right.
are gonna get as
You're
much
right.
of a following as the person.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, it's gonna probably take you some practice to get
Mm.
comfortable with your face being the brand.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not. I have started a YouTube with some like a collaboration where I showed myself more often. I'm kind of used. I'm
Yeah,
okay with that. Yeah, so I'm not
it's
afraid of that
that's
anymore.
one part.
Yeah.
I want to say
Hmm.
add one more thing. So this is something Mel Robbins told me.
Hmm.
You know, I used to always hide behind my team. So I'll be like, oh, so even when I write copy
Hmm.
or when I explain something, I would always say, "Oh, we are gonna do this for you, and
Hmm.
here, we're here to help you. We're
Hmm.
gonna do we. Like,
Hmm.
and our philosophy is this, right?"
Hmm.
And one thing that Mel Robbins taught me is that don't hide behind your team. Like, take
Hmm.
full responsibility for everything you do. Just say, "I'm gonna help you.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this for you,"
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that's actually a lot harder than I thought when I started
Hmm.
doing it,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
I started thinking, "Oh, if this goes wrong, they're gonna blame me." Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Anything else you're worried about?
Would you? Yeah. Okay. Would you? So I would like to keep the websites, not as a
Yeah,
website,
keep
but
everything
that. Yeah.
the same.
Hmm.
Don't do anything with it. You've already
Okay.
created it.
Yeah.
But I want you to
And
create a new website
yeah, no
for your
problem.
personal brand.
No problem. Okay. Okay. One more question.
Mhm.
I do. I would love to do it in English, but I also, I'm German,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm not the best. If
Your
you heard this,
current
probably
content is currently all your content is in German.
on the Healer Hip Hop, not no, but many podcasts are. Yeah, 50-50.
Okay. And what audience do you want to? I guess this is a question that you're going to have to answer for yourself. There's pros and cons to both, right? Um, do you want to serve German speakers, or do you want to serve English speakers? Right? Obviously, it's a different
I want
size and
international people. I've
demographics.
always loved international people. I sometimes I cannot deal with German mentality. So what kind of keeps me from that is my English is not. I'm not a native speaker. So if I attract native speakers, they might not. Uh,
Well, don't worry about that part.
mhm, mhm,
Don't like, regardless of like your English.
mhm.
Who are the people that you want to serve?
I want international people. I love diversity. It's very much. I love to have as diverse people as I can get, and
Okay.
that would be international people.
Because, like, to me, just speaking with you, I think your English is fine. and,
Yeah, some
and I
special
would,
words I don't know. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
but you're, first of all,
Hmm.
there are plenty of thought leaders out in the world
Mhm.
who English is not their native language.
Eckhart Tolle.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Eckhart Tolle is one of them, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is the more you do it, the
Yeah.
better you're going to get at it, and
Yeah.
the more comfortable you're going to get, and
Yeah.
you're going to pick up all those like little nuances of the language.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that I'm not worried about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Cool.
so then I would do everything in English then, if that's the case.
Mhm.
Anything else?
No, I'm very happy. Kind of feel lighter. Makes it very simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, it's you probably tell your clients this too, but a lot of the times when I work with my clients, big part of my job is actually taking things away.
Mhm.
and and it's actually harder to do because a lot of people, they don't want to throw away their old life. Oh, my old life is
Here I
I'm
am.
familiar with it. You know what I mean?
Here I
And
am. Yeah, with the same thing. Like I'm okay, but I need to give that up to start a new thing.
yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
and it's the same thing when I work with most clients.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, but I also love this part. Oh, but I love this name, and like I don't want
Hmm.
to.
Yeah.
But it's in order for you to build this new thing,
Yeah.
it's actually about, and that FOMO, I think, is like the hard. It actually holds us back a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it did for me,
Yeah.
because at first I'm like, "Oh, but I'm so but I'm so good at design. I feel like I can teach design. I can be a great design teacher.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I gotta put that on the side.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
years down the road, I can do something with it. But
Mm-hmm.
right now, I need to double down on this because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is what people are asking from me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually going to be probably the toughest part for you
Yeah.
to kind of really start letting go of those things. But
I have the
I have
tools.
a feeling you're going to get there. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's kind of what you do with clients,
Yeah.
anyway.
I've been there before, so I should be able to manage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm really like, the fact that you have already built this Healer
Yeah.
Hip Hop podcast to a certain
Yeah.
size and all of that. That's what you've done with 2,000 downloads per
Mm-hmm.
episode and 8,000 followers.
Mm-hmm.
That's already, you're already at the top, probably 5%,
Mm-hmm.
just by having accomplished that. So don't take that lightly. That it means you have it in you
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
So you just gotta take a slightly different route and just do it. I have faith in you.
Yes. Whew. Thank you,
Awesome.
Sam. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your business, your life, and everything with us. It's been very, very productive, and I love what you said about like the two types of people. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
the ones
Mm-hmm.
who were forced to change, and then
Mm-hmm.
like that, because that's so true, right?
Yeah.
We know so many people in our lives like that. So
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely. Yeah.
positive so many people are going to resonate with that. So
Yeah.
thank you, and thank you all for listening. Um, I'll put all of your links and everything on
Yeah.
the description so people can find you.
Great.
And I'll see you all next week. Cheers. Bye, Anna. Bye, everyone.